Hello, welcome to another episode of Geek Lunch Meat. I'm your host, Chris, as usual. Now, this episode feels a bit like a glitch in the Matrix to me. I've got a bit of deja vu because I recorded this episode yesterday morning, and then when I went to edit it today, found that even though the microphone was plugged in and apparently working, it didn't record any sound at all. So I'm having to do it all over again. Typically, Sod's Law, because I was reviewing Marvel's Eternals. I waffled on a bit and had about half an hour of stuff, which was all completely wasted. So anyway, what that means you'll probably get is a more truncated version. Hurrah, you're probably saying to yourselves, as I will probably not waffle on as much as I did yesterday. I'll try and keep it a bit briefer. So, news this week. Indiana Jones 5. I'm not a superstitious person. I don't believe in curses or anything like that. But I mean, maybe Indy has raided the wrong tomb at some point. And he does seem cursed this week after obviously COVID put them all back. They'd already been delayed before that. Then Harrison Ford's injury. Now they have finished filming in Sicily and we're heading down to Morocco, to Fez in particular, I think, to do some filming. And now, due to the sort of COVID infection rate in the UK rising, the Moroccan government isn't massively happy about people coming to and from the UK, which has caused problems. And then, tragically, a crew member was found dead in their hotel. I believe it was one of the grips. I think he was only in his 50s or something. Quite tragic. Obviously, it's got a bit of press. I think because of the obviously the tragedy that happened with the shooting on the Alec Baldwin movie. So it's but to say this was, I believe this is just natural causes. But yeah, apparently it looks like that may have delayed and they may have stopped shooting again. So yeah, Indy 5. I mean, obviously they said, as I reported on a few weeks ago, it's now been put back till July 2023. So we're still over a year and a half away. So I was assuming they would get principal photography finished by Christmas. And then what's going to happen next year, I don't know. I'm guessing Disney said all these films, all the Marvel films and Indiana Jones were being put back due to pipeline, post-production pipeline problems. So I'm assuming there's all the effects work building up. So I'm guessing Indy's just going to sit in the can for ages until they get round and clear all the backlog and then start working on the effects for it. I can't think of any other reason why they would have delayed it so long. But yeah, I'll stick up some photos anyway. You can see it appears to be a sort of a chase scene they've done involving those the tuk-tuks, the little sort of motorized trolley car things that you get in Thailand and places like that. I'm assuming they filmed a lot of that with the stunt people, I believe. But yeah, so Indy 5 still not having the best of times. We've had a bunch of trailers this week, the best of them being the Book of Boba Fett, which they dropped suddenly. I was expecting that to drop. Next Friday is Disney have declared it Disney Plus Day. I think it's the second anniversary of Disney Plus. And they said they were going to give us all sneak peeks of all the stuff they've got coming out sort of next year. But say Book of Boba Fett is hitting 29th of December, the first episode on Disney Plus. I assume they would have shown us the trailer then. It's come early. I'm guessing maybe the next Friday. Andor should be coming next year, along with the Obi-Wan series. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we should be getting some trailers or at least some sort of footage from both of those productions next Friday, which will be exciting. But yeah, Book of Boba Fett looks great. Continues on from the post-credit scene we got at the end of the last season of The Mandalorian, which was great after being treated to Luke and R2 turning up and taking Grogu away. And then we got that little sneak peek of Boba Fett and Fennec Shand killing, was it Bib Fortuna and sitting on Jabba's throne and taking over. And yeah, the trailer doesn't really give much away, not much of the story, just gives us a flavour of, they're obviously going to take over Jabba's crime syndicate. They've gathered together all of his lieutenants, and it looks like it's going to be, it mentions the underworld, and we're finally going to get a look at all sort of criminal goings on that they've explored in some of the books and comic books before, which would be great to see on the big screen. And they've sort of touched on it in the Solo movie. It'd be great to see if we get some continuation with Kira. I know there's a Kira comic book coming out soon, is it Crimson Dawn, and all the various crime syndicates. So yeah, 29th of December, that is hitting. It's going to be great. Oh, one thing about having to re-record this is after I recorded it, then in the afternoon they dropped the Stranger Things season 4 trailer. So I can include that now. As ever, I will put all the links to these trailers in the description below. And also, I always forget to say, yeah, if you can give us a thumbs up if you can, if you like what you see, and subscribe, really help out the channel. But yeah, Stranger Things season 4. So we get this trailer. It's mostly voiceover from 11. It appears that about 6 months have passed since the last season. She's living in California. Obviously, they all sort of went their separate ways. And then they're all going to get back together for spring break, and supernatural shenanigans will no doubt occur, which you then get little snippets of at the end of the trailer. It doesn't actually tell us on this trailer. There was a separate trailer, well, a sort of little teasery thing where they were giving you some of the episodes of the titles, it looked like, and that did say summer 2022. So unfortunately, I thought maybe we'd get it early next year, but it looks like we're still at least 7 or 8, possibly even 9, depending on what you class as summer, months away from Stranger Things season 4. It seems like it's been, well, it has been absolutely years. So yeah, it's coming. That's all I can say. It's coming next year. We also got the trailer for Moonfall. Let's not beat around the bush. It's probably going to be an absolute load of crap. Roland Emmerich's latest CGI disaster fest. Buildings falling over, tidal waves. The moon is heading towards us. Looks like they've stolen the plot of Transformers Dark of the Moon, where that brief section of time when the Apollo 11 mission was out of radio contact as they were landing on the moon, and they're using it to say that there was obviously some alien going on happening. 4th of February it hits. Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, Donald Sutherland, who I love, still creeps me out from the ending of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake. So the cast is pretty good, and it will be a load of CGI. I say I like disaster movies. I said before, a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. The Day After Tomorrow is probably my favourite one of Emmerich's. I quite like the story on that one, and the cast is good. You got was it Dennis Quaid? So yeah, it could be garbage. It can't be any worse than Geostorm. At the end of the day, I know that wasn't one of his, but I mean that didn't even have a Geostorm in it. It had a small storm, and most of it was based on the space station bit instead, which wasn't as interesting. But I digress. Yeah, Moonfall. But yeah, it could be good. Geostorm, not good. Avoid. Morbius, we got the trailer for. Who knows what's going on with Morbius? It is the Marvel living vampire with Jared Leto, and it's set in, I think, a Sony calling it. Is it the Sony Spider-Man cinematic universe or whatever they're calling it? Because obviously Sony owns the cinematic rights to Spider-Man. They obviously do a deal with Marvel so that he's been used in the MCU. But yeah, there are bits in the trailer that tie all of the different Spider-Man franchises in. Obviously the Tom Holland one, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. You've got Michael Keaton as the Vulture, who was obviously in Spider-Man Homecoming. He mentions Venom, the recent Venom Let There Be Carnage film, explicitly tied into the MCU, I think in their mid-credits scene. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it's going to play out. We've got obviously Spider-Man No Way Home coming out next month. And then we've got Morbius is the 21st of February, 21st of January. And then we've got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming out next year. It'd be interesting to see, at the end of all that, how this all shakes out, because there's obviously lots of goings and to and fro's between universes. Obviously, everyone seems to think that we're going to get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield turning up with Tom Holland at some point. Oh, I highly suspect, I mean, Sony want some of that sweet Marvel money. They look like they're building up to a Sinister Six movie, so we will get a Sony movie, Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, and probably against the Sinister Six. That probably seems inevitable at this point. The news. That was announced. Taika Waititi is going to be directing a live-action version of the Incal. The Incal, I've not read it, but it's a series of graphic novels written by, get his name right, Alejandro Jodorowsky, the famous art house director, and illustrated by Jean Mobius Girard. Mobius, even if you don't recognize the name, you'll have seen his work, as well as being absolutely fantastic comic book illustrator. He designed the spacesuits for Alien. He worked on Tron. He did the NTIs in The Abyss. And he designed a lot of The Fifth Element is probably one of the best examples of what his work would look like translated to live action. Per se, the Incal, apparently it's a big space opera, science fiction-y thing. I think it looks like it was based on Jodorowsky was doing his own adaptation of Dune in the 70s, with Mobius providing a lot of the artwork. That never came about, and I think they used a lot of what they had done to form the Incal. So I've no doubt it'll look fantastic, based just on that. Say Mobius's designs. When Taika Waititi's getting around to this, I don't know. He seems to be the busiest working man in Hollywood. After he's obviously doing post production on Thor: Love and Thunder, he's got a Star Wars film then that he was meant to be doing, which I thought would be his next one, but that's not due out till December 2025. I don't think that would give him enough time to do another big budget science fiction movie before that, and get post production done, and pre production done, and start filming on Star Wars. So I don't know. Either Star Wars will get pushed back, or Incal will happen after that. But we will see. We'll see what shakes out on that. He's obviously got his live action Akira adaptation he's been working on for years as well. That's obviously going to be pushed back even further as well. But yeah, the Incal, Taika Waititi, definitely one we will be keeping an eye on. So review wise, Marvel's Eternals opened, which I went to see on Friday night. As I've said before, I did quite a sprawling review. I will keep it more compact. Essentially, it's all right. To expand on that a little bit, it isn't like most other Marvel films. It tries to do something a bit different, which obviously works to its advantage and to its detriment at the same time. Everyone who's sort of called out and said, "Oh, all the critics who have said that Marvel films, they're all the same. It's all just very repetitive." This tries to do something different. It's not entirely successful a lot of the time. Directed by Chloe Zhao, the Academy Award winner for Nomadland, I think it was, wasn't it? So it looks fantastic. It's not sort of documentary art house style, but it's not as much as that. But it is. It looks different than other. Looks a bit more epic than other Marvel productions. It takes place over 7,000 years. You've basically got the Eternals, this team of 10 beings who come to Earth in 5000 BC, and their mission is to guide humanity, help it evolve, become more civilized, whilst also protecting it from the deviants, this other race of CGI, not greatly animated CGI monsters that are attacking from time to time. And so it spans 7,000 years. It's a 2.5 hour movie. It tries to be. It doesn't quite feel as epic as it should. It does a lot of You get a lot of flashbacks, like a lot of different time periods. I wonder if it would have been better having all that stuff at the beginning and then saying, right, now we're in modern time, or to have had some modern time stuff and then had, right, here's all the flashbacks that give us all the backstory, and then here's the rest of the story playing out in modern time. By separating it all out, I don't know, it seems to slow down the story every time a flashback appears. Some of them are quite lengthy, and there's a lot of exposition to get through. Obviously, the Eternals, even if you're like a comic book fan, they're not a massively popular part of that. There's not been a lot of stuff done with them, so obviously they've got to introduce, and saying you've got 10 of them as well, so you've got to introduce all these characters with different powers, give all their backstory, what it is they're doing. So I mean, Marvel have done that before with things like Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, quite a relatively unknown team, and they suddenly go, right, here we go, here's a movie about them. But at least that was fun, and it was done in a fun way. Whereas Eternals is it's a lot more serious than most Marvel films. There's the odd one-liner and quip, as you'd expect, but not too many of them. It's taken a lot more seriously, so it is a bit ponderous, and it's setting up a lot of backstory sort of for the next phase with the Celestials, and sort of and what's going to be happening with characters going forward. So, I mean, the cast is great. Gemma Chan, Angelina Jolie. I always think of Angelina Jolie. I always don't really think of an actress. I always think of her as more as she's a celebrity that was married to Brad Pitt, and she was in sort of the crummy Tomb Raider movies. But I thought she was very good in this. The character she plays has issues. And she plays a sort of very fractured, almost demented character at times, and I thought she did a very good job. Richard Madden, Salma Hayek is always good. Kit Harington, who I thought was going to be in it a lot more than he was, but there is stuff, again, I say no spoilers, but they set him up for later movies. Kumail Nanjiani is probably one of my favourite characters. He gets most of the few jokes that are there. He probably gets the most. And Ma Dong-seok, who Korean film fans will know from Train to Busan and the awesome Good, the Bad and the Weird, the Korean Western, which is a fantastic movie. Though he even kept reminding me every time he appeared, my brain, he looks like Wong from the Doctor Strange movies. He reminded me of him, and I kept thinking, well, what is Wong here? And it's like, no, it's not Wong. It's someone else, but I think that was probably just me. There are 2 end credit scenes to hang around for, and as I say, they build up to stuff in the future. So yeah, I mean, if you've watched all 25 Marvel movies and you're a big Marvel fan like me, you're going to go and see it at any rate. It gives a huge chunk of background and is looking ahead to the next phase. So yeah, if you're more of a casual viewer, I say it's over 2.5 hours. There is at times where you're thinking, is this, are they done with this yet? As opposed to, say, June was also 2.5 hours, which didn't seem to fly by. There was a lot more sort of interesting stuff going on. It's more mature Marvel movie. It does things that you don't expect. You couldn't imagine any of the Avengers suddenly getting to the big battle at the end and saying, actually, no, I don't agree with this. I actually, sort of side with the bad guys, and actually sort of, step away from the fight and not take part, which happens in this. It's not just a case of good guys, bad guys, black and white. There's quite a bit of shade of grey. There's death, there's betrayals. There's Marvel's first sex scene as such. It's mostly a man and a woman who are naked. You don't see anything, but it's obviously, it's heavily implied, which would step up for Marvel. It's got Marvel's first gay couple and gay kiss in it. So it's good. It's going in the right direction. It's say a bit more adult. And I think a lot of people who always complain that Marvel stuff is always the same, very formulaic, are probably going to watch this and go, actually, it turns out I prefer the formulaic Marvel fun movies. So that's Eternals. So I enjoyed it. It's not one I imagine I'm going to massively revisit a lot, but it is what it is. That's about it from me this week. Hopefully this is all recorded with sound, because otherwise I'm going to have to do it for a third time, which would be really annoying. Say subscribe if you would like to. That would be fantastic. Until next time, take care. Eat geek and be merry.